What a game. What a game. What a game. What a game. What a game between two teams that could be on a collision course, possibly even make it to the WNBA finals. But when we look at this matchup between the Indiana Fever and the New York Liberty, it was a game that went back and forth. We saw lead changes. We saw the Liberty kind of jump out on front, and then we saw that big third quarter by when Caitlin Clark finally got her momentum, when the crowd really got into it. It was a real dog-eat-dog fight, grinded out defensive game up until that third quarter when Caitlin Clark went on that run, when she had the reverse layup, when she had the buzzer beater, when she had her step back three, and she finally was started making her shots. We saw the crowd get into it. We saw the Fever get into it. But unfortunately, they were up by 8 to lead going into the fourth quarter. And then Jaquel Jones came alive. And then the New York Liberty came alive. And they showed you why they are the defending champs. They showed you why it's levels. And they showed you why even when they're down, they held their composure and they were able to come out on top to beat the Indiana Fever in this game. And I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of concerns. But most importantly, we saw a playoff matchup in game 3. And we normally don't see that in the NBA. That's why when we talk about the WNBA in the regular season, why the games are so important, why every game is a battle, why every game is a war, why the product on the basketball court is really incredible in the regular season, because these teams want it. These teams are grinding out. These teams are playing very competitively, and it was an amazing game between the New York Liberty and the Indiana Fever. In the first half, we really saw the New York Liberty showcase that they're extremely talented. They're extremely gifted. They have players on their roster that are MVPs. They have players on the roster that's been there and done it before. Jaquel Jones, she's only 31 years old, and she's won everything it's possibly to win in the WNBA. She's an MVP, Finals MVP, Most Improved Player, Sixth Man of the Year, won a championship. Like, she is the best modern big example that we have in the WNBA, for a big that can score in the post, that can score in the second level of the basketball court, that can also extend all the way out to the three-point line. She is incredibly gifted, incredibly skilled. And when New York Liberty go away from kind of like playing the offense or running the offense through her like they did within the third quarter, sometimes they tend to struggle, and we even saw that in the postseason. When they run the offense through her and really get her involved, she is extremely hard and difficult to guard. And we saw that, and she was dominating. She put out, I think she had like 26 in 12, and she was a bucket. And I want to shout out also Aaliyah Boston, because Aaliyah Boston is taking the lead. Aaliyah Boston has been the Indiana Fever's best player so far in these past 3 games. I know the season is early, but 2 out of these 3 games, she's been in the high digits, in the high 20s, and the rebounding is there. And she has been very impactful, and it seems like her game is taking a leap. She's more confident in going to the basket. Her footwork is impeccable in the post, and she just has, when even in the clutch situation, clutch moments, they're going with that pick and roll and trying to get Aaliyah Boston in the post with Caitlin Clark in the pick and roll and trying to get her the ball, because she is a player that they feel that when they're down, they can dump the ball to and get her the ball, and they can possibly either win or tie it up, because she is that lethal and that skilled to run the basket. She was incredible today. And this matchup was very, very fun. It was very, very, very kind of felt like a playoff game. It was everybody was on the edge of their seats. And at first, it was like the Liberty in the first half was dominated. And then we saw in that third quarter, Caitlin Clark found her rhythm, found her groove, and finally made a shot, even though she's been in a slump. But when she's making threes, it really just energizes the entire Indiana Fever crowd. And when she's missing, it kind of sucks the life out of the crowd as well. We didn't see the crowd really get into it and be that sixth man until that third quarter, when Caitlin Clark was dribbling. She had that beautiful reverse layup. Then she had that three-point shot and that buzzer beater with the step back from the logo going into the end of the third quarter, headed into the fourth quarter. They were up by 8 points. She really got involved. She really got into the game. But she's been in a slump. And we saw also Stephanie White. We saw Stephanie White start Lexi Holt over DeWanna Bonner. I think that's the right move. I think that was very important. Lexi Holt had an impactful game. She's a better three-point shooter at this point in her career than DeWanna Bonner. DeWanna Bonner came off the bench. But since we're on the topic of Stephanie White, let's get into it. Stephanie White. Hold up. BMO says CC is finished. She's losing. She's just a little better version of Angel Reed's Cloud Without Water. Substance all never come back. I don't know what you're talking about, but that makes no sense. Comparing a first-team all WNBA player to Angel Reed does not make any sense. You're trolling. So we're not even going to focus on that. But Stephanie White, how do you have a challenge and you don't use it? I don't understand. How do you have a challenge at the end of the game and you do not use your challenge? That's why you keep your challenge at the end of the game. When you look at the possessions between Sabrina Ionescu and Lexi Holt, she did beat Lexi Holt, but it was Sabrina Ionescu that initiated the contact. She initiated the contact and they called a foul on Lexi Holt. Sabrina Ionescu went to the line and had the 2 free throws and was able to win the game. If you see in the replay, you're watching Lexi Hall go straight up with her arms. She's going straight up with her arms. And how do you not use your challenge? I don't understand. I really don't understand. Maybe she saw in the replay and she thought that it was a foul. But watching that Lexi Hall and Sabrina Ionescu play, before we get into that Natasha Cloud and Caitlin Clark play, that wasn't a foul. That should have been challenged. It should have been probably the Indiana Fever ball going into the possibly have a chance to win. But that wasn't a fault. That was Sabrina Ionescu drew contact. Lexi Hall had her hands straight up. She went straight up on the opposing player, and they called a foul Sabrina Ionescu. And then we saw with Caitlin Clark, the next play, Caitlin Clark tries to draw a foul, right? So she gets the ball. Natasha Cloud was up under her, and she made a swipe, and they didn't call the foul. So we had 2 pivotal moments when we're looking at the referees and 2 questionable calls, whether you think they got it right, whether you think they got it wrong. But the Lexi Hall call is the biggest call for me because Stephanie White, you had a challenge and you not use your challenge. You swallowed your whistle. That was a terrible. I don't know. The assistants didn't see it. I don't know if they didn't tell her she had a challenge, but how do you have a challenge and you do not call that challenge? Maybe she was afraid if she called a challenge, they would have lost her timeout. I don't know the rules of that. Maybe that's a possibility why she didn't call for the challenge play, but that was clearly not a foul on Lexi Hall because Sabrina Ionescu initiated the contact with her head and Lexi Hall went straight up. And then on the opposing end, Natasha Cloud, how did the New York Liberty, because I am a New York Liberty fan, because I live out on the East Coast in Jersey and stuff like that, so I go to the Liberty games all the time. But how did the New York Liberty get Natasha Cloud? I mean, my goodness, a 32-year-old point guard. You can't now. She's worked on her 3-point shot. Now you can't even go under her threes anymore because she's a vital threat to hit open threes, and especially as she has room. And she's always been one of the best passers for pure point guards in the WNBA. She's one of the best passers in the league. Now you have her who can handle the ball and take some of the ball head, not even take some of the ball handling responsibility. She allows Sabrina Ionescu to play that combo guard, slide into that shooting guard spot, which is, I believe, is her natural position anyway, and not have so much of the ball handle responsibilities because you have Natasha Cloud, and also you have a guard that can really defend at a high level. We saw her in Caitlin Clark's grill the entire game. In the past 2 games, really, we're seeing teams face guard Caitlin Clark 94 feet on the floor. And I think that's the biggest difference when we talk about when people do those constant comparisons between like Sabrina Ionescu and Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's being guarded 94 feet on the floor. Sabrina Ionescu is not. And we talk about Caitlin Clark and her responsibility. People talk about the high turnovers. People talk about, well, finding that balance between having Caitlin Clark with the ball in her hands and having her play off the ball as well. Yes, there is a balance. Yes, there's things you can do to try to better having opportunities for Caitlin Clark to not have to generate, have so much sole responsibility on her team. But at the end of the day, you want her with the ball in your hands because of her pace and also her execution in the fast break opportunities, and also just her reads that she finds when you have the ball in her hands. But they got to do a better job of getting Caitlin Clark even when they're face guarding her in the 90 feet or face guarding her in the half court. And if you want to play her off ball, then make sure Caitlin Clark is becoming a better screener and using her as a screener and using her as a way that she's screening and then going away from the ball and they're sending the screen and getting Caitlin Clark opportunities to come off pin downs and get easy and open looks. But it's crazy. We saw a really, really great game. Kai said 7-1-8. Cloud can guard a smaller point guard. Sabrina don't got to chase him around anymore. Exactly. And also Sabrina doesn't have to be the sole responsibility to initiating offense and having the ball in her hands for us, like trying to make plays for others and also just really handling the ball. Like they have a legitimate point guard that can take that responsibility out of Sabrina Ionescu's hands. And when we see Sabrina, she was cooking tonight. Sabrina Ionescu is one of the best 3-level scorers in the WNBA. And when we look at Sabrina Ionescu, her game is very well-rounded. She's one of the most complete guards, if not the most complete guard in the WNBA. We talk about 3-level scoring ability. She can get to the rim. She has a floater. She can shoot from the logo at times. And she is very, very skilled when her three-point shot is not falling. She can get to the floater. With her inside the game is not falling, she can get to the second level of the basketball. She's comfortable in the mid-range game. When we talk about Caitlin Clark and you're watching this New York Liberty versus FIBA game, one, the physicality for is like Caitlin Clark's handling ability. If you pressure Caitlin Clark, if you get up in her grill, if you tend to try to make her uncomfortable, she can turn that ball over. So when you're Caitlin Clark, she's already a top 5 basketball player in the world, and she has room to grow. Whether that's the outside off-ball ability, whether that's the handle ability, whether that's the scoring in the second level of the basketball court, she's going to get better. But as of right now, it's too much threes. It's too much threes only. And even when you have Caitlin Clark off the switch and it has to switch and she's hunting the mismatch and she gets a mismatch she likes, too many times it's a dribble. If she doesn't beat her man, she's taking a step back three, where there needs to be a dribble, couple dribbles, create off the dribble, get all the way to the rim and finish strong or draw fouls. I think Caitlin Clark has to tap into her ability to draw fouls. If she taps into her ability to draw fouls, because as we see, she's added more muscle. So she's already knows that at times when she goes to the rim, she's going to draw a lot of contact. But she has to get comfortable with drawing more contact and getting easier opportunities at the free throw line, especially when her shot isn't falling early or when her shot is not falling at all. Right now, she's 2 for 17 in the last 2 basketball games for the three-point line. She had 2 threes this game, but she went 2 from 12 for the three-point line. It has to be other ways for her to score and get easier looks if that three-point shot is not falling. And it's not just always getting to the layup. It can be a floater. It can be stopping at the second level in the basketball court, the 15 range, and shooting a jump shot. So that's what I would like to see her improve on. That's what she's going to have to prove on over the course of her career. But people are going to talk about the turnovers. People are going to talk about her turn the ball over so much. But when you're a generator, you have the responsibility of making sure that not only you're eating, you're getting your buckets, but making sure everybody else is getting their buckets and really passing them and getting them open and getting them to spots and using the pick and roll and hitting the right woman in stride to get the layup, or just placing players in certain spots of opportunity while you're facilitating and passing the ball. Her playmaking ability is so lethal. It's like that is her best skill. It's almost like she's like LeBron James. When people talk about LeBron James' greatness, they talk about his IQ and they talk about his playmaking ability, and then they talk about everything else. Their passing and their ability to read and dictate the offense and to set their man up in ways is something we've never seen before. But unfortunately, when it comes to that, it doesn't seem like they've had times where in their career, well, LeBron James had a long career, but so far in Caitlin Clark, we haven't really seen them have a player that can really set up Caitlin Clark, especially when she is struggling. Because even if you're talking about her being off the ball, she's coming off the basketball, coming off pin downs, having to set screens, and then come off another curl screen. It's still her doing a lot of work. Kelsey Mitchell, as great as she is, Kelsey Mitchell's mindset is wired to just score. She's a pure hooper. She's just a scorer. She's not going to be able to play make and really get Caitlin Clark easy looks or easy shots the way that Caitlin Clark does for everyone else. And that's why Natasha Cloud being on the New York Liberty is such a great pickup, such a blessing. It's going to probably be the reason why the New York Liberty had the potential to go back-to-back, because now Natasha Cloud, she's wired to set up everybody on the basketball court. Now Sabrina, which takes the pressure off of Sabrina Ionescu, and it takes the pressure off of everybody else for Breanna Stewart and Jaquel Jones. And that's something Caitlin Clark doesn't have. So it's going to be interesting seeing moving forward to see. CC got to foul these bull hard. They practically do Adam. So it's I don't know what Adam talking about. But it's crazy. It's crazy. It was a good game. It was that's how the playoffs are going to be. It was a championship style of game. It was a war that we saw between the New York Liberty and we saw between the Indiana Fever. And if you're in Indiana Fever, you had to pat yourself on the back because Caitlin Clark was playing terrible for 3 out of the 4 quarters of this entire game. And the game was still tight. It was still in reach. Even though Caitlin Clark was generating offense and generating plays with her playmaking and passing ability, they were still in the game even with Caitlin Clark struggling. And they were in the game largely because of Leah Boston and also Lexi Hull as well. And I'm sorry, but somebody else said, I'm glad Stephanie White had to – I've been saying it since the preseason that DeWanna Bonner's going to have to come off the bench because DeWanna Bonner is older and the fast-paced offense and she's more of a 4 now. She's not – she's this style offense that they want to play is not going to be best suited for her. She's much suited for in a half-court game where the game tends to slow down. And we saw her even with Connecticut where the Connecticut Sun had 2 bigs in the paint where they were able to play more of a half-court, slower style of play. And even though the Indiana Fever have 2 bigs in Natasha Howard and Aaliyah Boston, they're not like your traditional bigs on a sense, at least not Natasha Howard, a sense like Breanna Jones and Alyssa Thomas, what DeWanna Bonner's used to playing for and playing with. So she's been struggling, though. She's not giving them any type of offensive firepower whatsoever. Even the shots that she's taking, she's hit one shot hit off the side of the backboard. So that's, either it's been a great career for DeWanna Bonner and she's just cooked, or she's going to eventually figure it out. I do not know which one. I don't know which one that's going to be honest. If I'm being honest with you, I think the pickup was a good pickup, a solid pickup. But anytime you're 37 years old and going on 38 and your best years are behind you, I just don't see her being what people thought she was going to be with this pickup and with this move. Veteran presence, playoff presence has been there, has played the biggest game, sure. But if she's not going to be able to give you much in the regular season, as much as I keep talking about how in the playoffs you want to save her legs, save the minutes, things of that nature. But if she's not giving you any type of contribution in the regular season, how do I expect her to be in rhythm or to do anything in the postseason? Because it may be that it's just that Father Time is undefeated for everybody. So it's going to be interesting. We definitely going to see. But Aaliyah Boston, shout out to Aaliyah Boston. She has taken a leap. She has been spectacular for the Indiana Fever, Sophia Cunningham coming off the bench. But the New York Liberty are tough. They're tough. They're the best team. They got better. They got better. And the thing about the New York Liberty is that Breanna Stewart only had 16 points, and she was missing a lot of open threes this game. She didn't even have her best game, and she's a top 3 basketball player. It's safe to say that the New York Liberty probably have 3 top 10 basketball players in their starting lineup. In Sabrina Ionescu, in Jaquil Jones, and Breanna Stewart. They have 3 top 10 players in their lineup. That's hard to beat. I know people are talking about the NBA and how, depth. They got depth too. They have a lot of things that are going very, very well for them. And also they can switch up the style of play. Even if Breanna Stewart's not going, you got Sabrina Ionescu and Jaquil Jones. Jaquil Jones not going, you got Sabrina and Breanna Stewart. If Sabrina's not going, you got Breanna Stewart and Jaquil Jones. Like you have, even if your big 3 isn't going, you still got 2 out of the 3 that are top 10 basketball players in the WNBA. That's just hard to come by. And as great as the Indiana Fever are, they have young talents in Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark, but we're seeing it's going to be some growing pains for the Indiana Fever, and they got to figure out the rotations. They got to figure out the lineups that they want to come in on a nightly basis. Who's going to get minutes and who's going to do what? But it's definitely going to be interesting. Chat. The coach last came. JJ was killing. Jaquil Jones is a force. I said it earlier in the stream. She's won everything. Everything in the WNBA. She's only 31 years old. She's in her primes right now. She's a monster. She's a monster. The coach lost the game, Ramon Rodriguez. You can make that case because she didn't call the challenge. And not saying that it's other things that happened in prior to the game, because the Fever were up 8 going into the fourth quarter. But we know the game of basketball is about runs. So, but that was a blunder by Stephanie White not calling that play. Also, Stephanie White has to figure out, like, even she was upset at Caitlin Clark when Caitlin Clark got the switch and took a 3 late instead of attacking the basket. I think she has to also make sure that she is not getting caught up like sides in a sense. You can't be afraid to talk to your best player. And that's something that I would say that, like, she said something to Caitlin Clark, but she needs to demand more from Caitlin Clark when it comes to certain things and her expectations, because too many times we're seeing Caitlin Clark just settle. And maybe that's because Caitlin Clark's creation ability off the dribble isn't there the way most people think yet, or she's just settling for the outside shot too much. And when I say creation ability, Caitlin Clark has a handle. But her handle ability, sometimes it's east to west and not north to south. And when I say that, a lot of times her creation ability is between the legs, behind the back, side step to the left, side step to the right to set up the 3. But her creation ability needs to be get to the even when she creating going to north to south, going downward, she'll pull back and hit you with the step back, which is coach. That's part of her game. But I would like to see more of her creation ability leads to getting all the way to the rim, especially when she has a big woman on her. When you have a Jaquil Jones or even a Breanna Stewart, there's no reason why you should be settling and taking a tough 3-point shot when you can get all the way to the rim. Like, she has the ability to get to all the way to the rim, and she needs to. I'm not going to say this is going to maybe offend some people, but, like, she needs to become a foul merchant at times. She needs to draw more fouls. She needs to make sure that the referee, she's controlling the game. She's controlling what the refs are doing. If they see, because of the refs, believe it or not, the refs reward consistent aggression. When you're aggressive, when you are attacking the basket, when you're taking contact, when you are trying to attack the rim and trying to get layups and trying to get easy looks, they reward that. That's why we see Sabrina Ionescu get rewarded late at the end of the game, because Sabrina Ionescu was touching paint all game. That's why we see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, even though people want to say he's a manipulator. Yes, sometimes he manipulates fouls and things of that nature, but he still draws a lot of fouls because of his aggression at getting to the rim. That's the next step for Caitlin Clark. Because I know people say her game is threes and layups, but her game can be threes and layups, but the layups aren't the layups are more so when she has a clear lane and she's attacking to the basket. The layups aren't necessary when she's creating off the dribble and then going into the paint and really being aggressive on the consistent basis. That's not really the layups that she's getting. So if I think that part of her game, if she does that, she will get an easy. We're talking 4 to 6 points per game. 4 to 8 points per game, to be honest, if she's just attacking the rim and getting and drawing fouls. Caitlin Clark is so cold. She has the ability to average 8 free throw attempts per game. Now, I know she already has a lot of responsibility with being a generator and the playmaking and things of that nature. But at the same time, you got to get easy and open looks, and you got to make sure that you allowing the referees to reward you with your attacking ability and with your overall aggression. But it was a good game overall. It's your boy, Mike K. Smith. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Always remember, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not onto your understanding, and always acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Faith without works is dead. Shout out to the chat, all my truth tellers. And I'm gone, man. Peace.